Seems like a good time because I just totally screwed one up by one little mistake. Hey, what's up guys? Here in the shop today on Friday. Just got off work early and just gonna enjoy this nice Friday while we're taking it easy. Not a lot of updates today on the Mustang as accountant Brian has been working and just life, doing a lot of stuff, got a lot of stuff going on, so we hadn't messed with it much since last weekend. But we have cracked into something new here at the shop. Not new to me, but new to y'all. And so guys, for those that don't know, this is my 82 S-10, the red rocket. It's a pretty simple, full frame truck, Caltrack bars, LS power. We took it down to 6 week this year, and first day down there, it split the number one cylinder into a bunch of pieces. But we've been waiting for the motor and racing a bunch of other stuff, and I was kind of mad at it because we've had a bunch of issues with it over the years, and I just cracking back into it now. So you can see, working on my dash and putting a steering column in it. So I got one of these Motion Raceworks. This thing is light, looks nice too, and with our lead line there, it's going to make it easy to turn and whatnot, because our old steering column definitely, it kept catching on this thing right here. It's super annoying and just kind of messing me up, kind of dangerous too. So we're just going through here. I got all my wires marked for everything that was on the column. We'll be mounting it in our panel now. I'm not going to use one of those little switchies for the golf carts or whatever, for the turn signals and whatnot. I'm just going to put everything on the dash, so nothing's on my steering column. Don't have to worry about catching anything. And anyway, it's a little bit of a headache, a little bit of a project here. I love wiring, and everything's going to be soldered, and it'll look real clean and nice when I'm done. But tying back into factory wiring harnesses on trucks that are 82, 2002, goodness gracious, this thing's 30 some years old. This thing's terrible. But we're not quite at the point yet. We're ready to rewire the whole thing. It's on Holly Dominator, and that kind of, we got parts here at least. Most time you're waiting on parts. I'm waiting on one valve for the motor to get the short block back, and we'll be ready to go on that. But besides that one valve, the motor's ready to go. Just tulipped one while we were racing. We got one cylinder really hot on it and kind of hydrauliced it and stretched a bunch of springs. But anyway, we'll do an update on the motor when that's getting closer, or when that's back. We'll go meet up with Chris and show you all his stuff. But just wanted to give you all a little update on the truck and update on what we're doing here in the shop, kind of keep everybody in the loop. And I'll probably show you some more updates. Hopefully I'll get this column at least in today, and y'all can kind of see what that looks like. So hey guys, just thought about it, and I wanted to let everyone know, like, this is my wiring setup. Not everyone loves it, but I've done them like this for a while, and I particularly like it, especially for the street car stuff. Everything's fused. Got my Mac valve for my shifter there. The Mac valves for the wastegates are up front. CO2 balls mounted nice where I can reach it if I'm in the car and realize it's off. It's a pretty clean wiring job. Got my two cables there, my one for the dash and the one for the Dominator itself. The Dominator is mounted behind the screen, and phone mount, just the typical stuff you find in like a true street car, but anyway, I just wanted to let everyone know that, yes, the wiring loom runs right there. I don't try to hide my wiring loom just because I like it open where I can get to and access if I need to do anything. When you're on the street, you never know what's going to happen. If something burns into, or find out we need another wire, we can jump and grab power and do everything super easy. But just want to make sure everyone knows, like, hey, this thing, you know, yeah, there's the methanol setup. So we were spraying methanol through the charge pipe to cool it down and running the motor on C16. We didn't have the best of luck with it, I'll be honest. It was definitely an idea and a way to do it, but just didn't have the best of luck with it. We'll talk more about that with Eric, where the dyno, we're kind of going to go over some ideas and pitch around on here. But anyway, long story short, just want everyone to see, even the wiring harness that's on here, so like all this, none of this is factory. It's all aftermarket, ran back to the switch. The main stuff that's still factory in it and should have been cut out and redone, but we've left it up to this point. It's just all the interior lights for the doors, the turn signals, all that stuff was all factory still. And we're working on getting rid of that now. So you'll kind of see us in the next few weeks try to get this thing turned around, because the hope is to have this thing at Summit's drag week in just a few weeks here. So you'll get to see us throw this thing back together, and you'll get to see us go to the dyno and see what kind of power we make. And then you get to see how fast it runs, hopefully. So Charlie, I'm trying to film. You're being very loud. All right, guys. So got the steering shaft in there. Steering shaft's in. Now I just got to work out this whole deal. So I had a slip joint on this for the stock setup with this universal joint. I think this is out of some stock vehicle, but I just can't remember what it is. But so I've got this whole setup. This end goes to a factory. Got the two flat sides on it. And unfortunately, the way my headers are built, two of my header tubes wrap around the steering shaft. So it's kind of one of those things, whenever you need to, I usually don't pull the headers off. I usually just pull them off the motor, and it's got enough room, it'll work itself out. But you can still get the motor out and everything. But every now and then I'll just pull them out all the way, so they're easier to work on. So I still got to have this where I can get it off. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, just take this off and slide this back up, and the shaft will fall out. At that point I can still do everything I need to do. Should be good enough. And then, but I still got to make a new shaft right there, new link bar and everything. So hey, so yesterday I was showing y'all the steering shaft and the steering link and all the new stuff, and now we got it done. So got a cross bolt through it right there. This is our collar, goes up tight, kind of sets your preload, just keeps you from yanking on the shaft and pulling it back out. But like I explained yesterday, or maybe not, my headers, one of my headers tubes actually goes around the steering shaft. So we're gonna have to wait till we get the short block back in it, and or the long block back in it, and check the headers out, make sure they fit around it, and then make sure that, you know, everything clears. But while I'm waiting for the motor to be done, hopefully maybe next week we'll get that back, I'm doing a little bit of maintenance, just stuff that I need to be doing for a while. So this thing had the stock factory brake lines on it for a long time, and they worked fine, nothing really, wrong with them. But we needed a roll, line lock, roll control set up for on two-step and whatnot, and I need to do the brake lines for that. So while I'm doing it, I went ahead and did both. I take the other one back down to where the factory union is right there, and just gonna, clean it up a little bit. Makes it nice getting spark plugs out too, stuff like that. It just gets annoying. They were literally right in the middle. They came straight down to almost where the shock adjuster is. So it'll be nice to have them out the way. Plus it'll look a little cleaner. Not to mention, I'm going to end up having to do all the brake lines on anyway. When I do the front brakes, it's still factory front disc brakes. I'm probably going to end up going to a setup from just a spindle mount setup. I think Motion makes a kit, and I'll have to do the hard lines and the soft lines on the front, and then from that union back, everything is redone for the rear anyway, because we already got disc on the rear. This stuff from Motion never ceases to amaze me. So I'll flip my dash up out the way, so y'all can see there's my Dominator we were talking about yesterday. That's the wiring for it. It's not the cleanest thing in the world, but it works pretty good. It's tight up in there, and it's easy to cover. It's not the 2 screws to get to it if you need it. But the Motion stuff, it just never ceases to amaze me how clean their stuff turns out. I've been running the wheel for a while now. I really like the wheel. Even with not having power steering, it's still a decent size, and you can get a good grip on it. and then all the options you have for buttons and whatnot, and my great amazing labels. But it works. And then that shaft fit right in there, no issues, no problems. I've got all my wires pulled out here, so this is going to be my windshield wipers and my let's see, high beam, low beam, and windshield wipers, and my dimmer switch. So all that's going to be mounted right there on the little panel that's missing. And back here on the back of the truck, we've got all of our stuff to switch to alcohol. So still haven't made the final decision on that yet. I love alcohol as much as the next person does, and but as far as on my race cars, I've only had it on one other race car. Well, I've only had it on this truck before. We just had so many issues with it, and I am somewhat scared of the maintenance side of it. So definitely going to be a learning curve there if we do go to alcohol. But either way, I think it's going to be the best choice. The boost, you know, just not having to worry about intake temperatures at that point, and you can just do, you know, kind of anything you want. The timing's so much safer. It's just, I think it is the better fuel for the boost, boosted applications. So anyway, coming from a nitrous guy, so. But anyway, we'll, y'all definitely get to see us if we make those decisions and what we get to do and what we plan on doing as far as that goes. But for the rest of this video, I'm just going to show y'all how to do these brake lines, so stay tuned. Okay guys, demonstration time. For anyone who doesn't know, quick rundown on brake lines. Seems like a good time because I just totally screwed one up by one little mistake. When you're using the bender, each one of these is a size. I believe the smallest is, on this one is 3/16 and the biggest is 3/8. Common size is quarter, 3/16. I've never done anything bigger than a quarter. But anyway, my fronts were 3/16. My whole back side is all quarter, and I stuck it in here and stuck it in the 7/16 hole and bent it. And when you do that, it'll put a little flat kink in it like that. So if you look, this one is nice and round all the way around. It's stretching the metal, but it keeps it square. It keeps it round all the way around. And you see this one, it put a little kink in it. It's got a little flat spot. Probably would still, yeah, definitely isn't kinked all the way over yet, but when you're doing this stuff, you want to do it right. Brakes are safety, big deal. So anyway, that one's trash. Luckily, I got more line than I need. So quick rundown. This is a flaring tool. Well, this is a part of a flaring tool. It's got all your sizes on it. Once, you know, some of them, they're all different kinds. This is the one I like to use. It's a Napa tool. All you have to do, pick which size you are. You stick it in here, close this up. What you're gonna do is, it's got a little piece. I don't know what the technical term for this is, but it's got a little nipple on it, okay? Nipple. It's got a nipple on it, and big nipple. It has a line here that sets your depth, how much you want sticking out of your tool on the side you're working on. And that's what's gonna make this whole thing work nice, is you get it perfectly on that depth. Some people prefer a little less, some people prefer a little more. I've always just done it what they told you to, because that's the reason they told you to do it. Do that, tighten these two down. Don't need to try to crush the tube, just decently tight. It ain't going nowhere. It's got threads in it that hold it. Stick the nipple in the hole, and at that point, grab your, it's like a C-clamp or pulley puller. It slides on here after the fact. It goes in here like so. Tighten down, get it a little snugged up. Now this first time when the nipple's in the hole, we're driving all the way down until this is flush with the clamping piece. You can stick it in a vise or however you want to do it. I just usually do it in the air with my hands because I'm so big and strong. It's a two-part process to flare brake lines. So when you're done, you're gonna have something like that. Pull the nipple out, Put it somewhere where you don't lose it. Now this end, your tool has a beveled edge on it. You're gonna put this back on and run it down in the tube. So the first part gave you the mushroom shape, and this is gonna give you the beveled edge, kind of like how AN lines work. You know, to give it that seal on the radius side where those two radiuses meet up, and makes it where it doesn't have to be perfect, because when you tighten up your nuts on the truck, you know, this is copper or alloy. It's not; these aren't steel brake lines. They're like a alloy of steel and copper, or steel and aluminum, and your brass flare fittings, on your actual brake lines. When you squish them together, the brass and the copper kind of take care of each other. Don't need any Teflon tape unless you're MPTing something together, so no Teflon on these. So after you get done, you're gonna have something that looks like this. There's a little tool with my kit. It's to just kind of deburr the edges on this thing. Don't need to do too much with it. Run around a couple times. Always like to give them a nice little blowout. Make sure that they're nice and clean. Another important thing, guys, make sure you put your fittings on before you do everything that I just did, because you only get to do that on the first one. The rest of the time, you better have this fitting on, because if not, you're gonna be cutting these back off. Little tip, if you do have to cut one back off and you don't wanna have to waste the whole piece of brake line, if you use the little rotary cutters that pretty much everyone uses, you're gonna have to lose about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch of this line that could make you too short. You can always take your little nipple for your flaring tool, stick it in here, take you a pair of, not these, you're gonna need a bigger pair of dikes, but take you a pair of dikes and you can crimp around it a couple times, pop it off, take your cleaning tool, your deburring tool, deburr the end where you just did that, and then, you know, stick your fitting on there this time, put it all back together, put it in your little vise jig and crump it back together. So anyway, it's a little tech tip on brake lines for anyone that didn't know. And I'm gonna go back to shooting some more on this while I try this for the second time. All right, guys, so I got all the brake lines tied up. Here, let me take a look. So, not the prettiest ones I've ever done by any means, but anyway, they look good. They're gonna be functional. Everything's tight. I haven't bled anything yet. I still need to do a few more things as far as trying to get little clips in here to kind of hold them tight to the chassis and keep them from moving around. In case a stick or something hits them, it'll support them and just make them look clean and tight. But anyway, they're in there. We should have line lock. Once we get them all bled, we'll have line lock. So wish I would have got done more this weekend, but me and a couple buddies I've raced with for a long time and just known for a long time, we decided, hey, it's nice this weekend. First nice weekend here in Virginia in a while, where it's not raining, and we didn't have any racing that any of us were gonna go do. So we ended up going to the lake this weekend. Whoa! And went out late yesterday and made a big day of it. But anyway, we'll definitely be working more towards getting some of this stuff ready to go race here in the next couple weeks. I'm going out of town next weekend, and then weekend after that, we've already got plans. We're going racing, taking the Nova out, gonna start really getting serious about getting ready for the upcoming Dragon Drive. Can't wait. So anyway, hopefully we're gonna go this year and have a good time, and we're gonna try to really show some more ET. So this will be kind of the last time we take the car out when we can make a decision whether we're gonna keep the converter that's in it or if we're gonna have them do some work to it right before we leave. But anyway, that's it. That's all for this time. Thank y'all for watching, and hope you learned a little something today. And anyway, hope y'all had a great weekend. Catch you later.